Welcome everyone to our cloud learning platform CloudGyankosh, where today we are going to discuss some more concepts related to AZ-104 and covering the first topic of this module, which is Microsoft Entra. So before we begin, if you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You are being trained by a Microsoft certified trainer. So be assured that you are going to be aligned with the official course curriculum of Microsoft. So the next topic that we have is about regions. So, what is a region? So, region is nothing but a specific geographical location where your Microsoft has its data center, right? So, Microsoft has Azure data centers all across the globe, and we have regions specific to the geography. For example, if we take East US, so that's a region in United States. If we take Central India, that's a Azure region in India, right? So whenever you create any resource like virtual machines, you create a storage account, you create a databases, you usually specify a particular region. So for example, I'm creating a VM, I specify Central India, then my VM will be hosted in that particular region and will be compliant to the regional compliances of that particular region. So here you can see we have multiple regions within Azure, and we can explore the Azure Global Infrastructure Experience to understand this. So Microsoft offers Azure Global Infrastructure Experience. So we will just minimize this page a bit, and here you can see the global architecture map of Azure, where you all the blue dots are the regions that we have. So if we look onto the Azure region in India we have three regions. So those three regions are mentioned. We'll just minimize and show it to you, right? So we have India as the geography, and we have three available regions, right? So what are the three regions? All these three blue dots are the regions that we have. One is in central India, that is located in Pune and was opened in year 2015. There you have availability zone within this particular region. We'll come to what is availability zone, and certain regional compliances and industry compliances are there, which are adhered whenever you host a particular service or resource within this particular region. So if we look on to the another region, that is South India. South India is placed in Chennai, right? It does not have any availability zone. And the next one, which has been recently opened, is India South Central, which is in Hyderabad location, and it again has three zones. It is opened in year 2026. So in India, we have three regions now, but only two regions have availability zone concept within them. That is Central India and India South Central. Now, when we want to have a zonal high availability within South India, is it possible? No. In those cases, we go for other availability methods depending on the service that we have opted. Now, see, if I say that my data center is in Pune, so where in Pune, which street, which address, right? What's the pin code? So we are not aware about those things. So that is done for physical security. To avoid that, any type of physical infrastructure damage or any type of physical non-compliances which will be there targeted to the physical location, to avoid that, the location exact address is not known to anyone. So this is how a hypothetical way of representing how a physical data center looks like. Obviously, the authorized personnel can only enter into the Azure data center. So there is proper security to ensure that there is proper physical screenings, physical monitoring of anyone, any personnel who enters the premises of Azure data center. So in the Azure data center, we have proper sustainability and energy options. If we enter the lobby here, so this is how the lobby looks like. So as we enter the lobby here, we can explore the lobby. So this is the first place whenever you try to enter a data center, this is the place where the guests sit. This is the first entrance where the lobby is mentioned, right? Here we ensure that we have the proper security in place, and we have several measures to ensure the proper cloud security is ensured within the lobby. So here you can have a look. All the measures like cloud security is there, right? We have the proper access control so that anyone is verified and then entered, like monitored entry is there, biometric entry is there, monitored infrastructure is there, right? Proper hardware recycling is there, and cyber defense and cloud security is enforced as you come within the Azure data center. We now next move on to the operations room, right? So in the operations room is where we prioritize how we can ensure that our services are highly available and our data center is resilient, right? So we have all of these trained technicians, as you can see here. They all are closely monitoring each and every aspect of the running data center, right? Closely monitoring the CPU performance, RAM performance, and all of these have their dedicated aspects which they are closely monitoring. So everything is a monitored environment here. Now, as we move ahead, we have the mechanical area, right? So here we ensure that we have a sustainable approach and we have secure and reliable power and cooling system, modern data center cooling system, sustainability features, and here certain powering capabilities like we are leveraging. You can see this windmills being set up here, and you can watch these videos how in the data center we ensure the proper power and cooling is in place, right? Next, we move on to the server room. So the server room is exactly where we have the different servers and the racks set up where we place our workloads. So here in the server room, we will be having different types of blades onto which we put our workloads. It can be a storage account or the VM that we are deploying. All these we deploy in the server racks, right? So there are different variations of server types or the blades that are used in Azure, right? So you can explore all the types. Generally, Project Gen 6, Gen 8, and Gen 9 Project Olympus is what we use in the Azure data center. We have the different server blades as we discussed. We have the JBOD blades, and then we have the Gen 8 Project Olympus, Gen 9 Project Olympus, and different variants like you have Azure Cobalt, Mia, and so on. So these are the different server blades which we commonly use in the Azure data center. Now, here is a video which demonstrate how the anatomy of a server room is and how actually the data center and the server room is set up. Then we have the circular center, which is more committed to a zero waste approach, like how in the better way we recycle whatever instruments that we have, right? And we ensure here you can read that how the circular central recycling program goes on, right? Uh, Here, zero waste concept is what we follow. Moving on to the networking room, where data is traveling all across the connected global infrastructure. And as we saw in the infrastructure map, right, all across the globe we had the cable connections going through. So this is how we can see how the networking is carried out, and the data is transferred from one end to other end. Like you are watching videos on your mobile, right? Data is coming through somewhere, right? So it is all because of the huge network infrastructure that has been set up, and which helps in leveraging. You leverage this particular network infrastructure, and with ease we can see anything on our phones, we can access anything, or we can run our VMs and storage on the Azure portal, right? So this was all an insight on how we have the different room. We also have an innovation rooms where the company puts a forefront onto how easily we can put the cloud innovation into picture, right? So as we have seen now the global architecture, so you can view it on map as well. So this is how the connectivity, you see all these fiber cable running across different region all across the globe. You can view it here, and you can also view it in a tabular format. about each of the regions and their geography in which they fall and the compliances they are adhering to, right? So that was an overview on two regions. Now let's understand what is a availability zone inside a region. So let's first understand that, for example, this is your region, right? So within the region, if I have availability zone, I will be having three availability zone. Sorry. So these are the three availability zone. Now, how is it an availability zone? We name this as a availability zone. This is any region. Let's take um, any region of India, like Central India, right? So this is availability zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3, right? So this particular, what is availability zone here? This is a data center within the Azure region, which are placed few miles apart from each other. So for high availability, for replication of your data, we have the availability zone concept here. So this availability zone is physical data centers which are placed inside the Azure region in order to protect your applications for any data center level failures which are introduced. So let's imagine we keep one copy of our data here, one copy of our data here, and one copy here, right? So this particular availability zone has individual power AC backup supply cooling. This has its individual power AC backup supply and cooling, and this has its individual power AC backup supply and cooling, right? In an event of disaster, this particular zone is down. Maybe the electricity coming for this particular zone is down. So now what happens? Still we have two copies of our data available. So these all particular availability zone are connected to each other through low latency fiber cable, which is nothing but the Azure backbone network, which are connecting all these together. So, in order to ensure that we have zonal resiliency or zonal high availability, we go ahead and separate our workloads few miles apart from each other but within the same region. Now, you must be having a question that this is one region, right? Maybe any XYZ region, and there is a catastrophic disaster. What will happen in that case, right? So this particular region will be impacted as a whole. So how can we ensure that we have high availability in the concept of regional failure? So in those cases we are going to spin up another region like this. So let me create another region here, 1, and region 2. These are regional pairs of each other. We will talk about regional pair as we go ahead. Now, this is region 1 and this is region 2. In the event of failure between these two regional pair, if region 1 is down, then what we do, this was the primary, we make this as the primary. So earlier it was secondary, we have now promoted it to the primary because now our region 1 is not available. So we made three copies of our data in region 1, but since the whole region is down, the customer already requested for high availability. So we had replicated the data into another region. When we say data, it can be a VM, it can be a DB, it can be a storage, which you have replicated, the services which you have replicated, right? So now you can reach out to the specific services that you have spinned up from the secondary region. There is a list of Azure regions which are there. So within each of the geography, we have different regions specified. And here you can see India mentioned and also their replica, right? Replica, I mean, where you can replicate your workload, that's the paired region. So this is the list of the region and their paired region. So when I place my workload in India South Central, it can be replicated into Central India, right? So this is already pre-decided, and there are if there are cases when both the regions can be down, right? So among these two, one is prioritized, and also between both the regions, there is a sequential update going on. So both the regions are not updated at the same time. You can see the list of the paired regions and the non-paired region, and how the regional recovery sequence, how the sequential updates and data residency is followed between these regions that we have, right? So these links of the Azure documents, I will paste it along with the video. So that's about the regions. Now we will move on to the hierarchy for governance, which is very important for us to understand. So when we say hierarchy for governance, so we must understand that in Azure we follow something called as resource hierarchy. So according to resource hierarchy, we have already seen the concept of the tenant, right? So we already have the tenant in place. Now within the tenant, we will be deploying a management group. And within the management group, since management group utility is when you have more than one, you know, subscription. So we will be having two subscriptions within them. And within each subscription, we can be having resource groups. And within the resource group, we will be having individual resources which are placed. Maybe one or maybe more than one, like this. So let me quickly name them. Already know about the tenant, right? In the tenant, we create different users. Like, for example, we created a user John, and we gave some permissions to the user, like a user administrator, global administrator, right? So all these permissions were given at the tenant level. Now we have the management group. Management group basically is used to organize the multiple Azure subscriptions which are there together. Suppose that in our organization we have maybe two subscriptions. So at the root level, tenant root level, we have both subscription 1 and subscription 2. And now we create a hierarchy so that we have one HR team, and there is a HR team sitting in geolocation 1. There is another HR team sitting in geolocation 2. And we have a production team, okay, and another team which is test team. So maybe we have three subscriptions. So what we can do, we can allocate the HR team sitting in geolocation 1 to use our subscription 1. We can allocate the HR team sitting in geolocation 2 to use subscription 3 and maybe subscription 2. Okay, the production team will be using only subscription 3, and the test team will be using only subscription 1. So in this way, we ensured that we have a management over the subscription, and that is achieved by something called as a management group, which we will see in the Azure portal as we go ahead. So to have a better management and a layer of permission above the subscription, we use management group. Now that is about management group. Then we have subscription. For example, we entered a mall, right? So let's suppose that the mall has different areas, right? So this is our small mall, and in this we have a gadget section, we have the food area, and we have some clothing brand here. So when I go for shopping inside the mall and I buy some gadgets, I pay using my credit card. To buy some clothes, I use my credit card number 2, and to buy certain food, I use my debit card number 1. So what I'm doing, I'm using different payment methods, correct? And they have individual balances. Each debit card, each credit card will be having its individual balance. So I'm spending on the different services being offered. In the same way, Azure also offers you different services. So you can buy different services, like you can spin up a VM, you can spin up a database, and you can spin up a storage account. and you will pay using your subscription. The another advantage of subscription is it gives you a control level above the resource group and the resources. How? So for example, I give a user permission from at the subscription level, he will also have permission at the resource group level, here. So how is it possible? It is possible because there is a parent to child inheritance when it comes to resource hierarchy, as we were discussing about the concept of resource hierarchy, right? So parent to child inheritance is there. If I give a permission to any user, maybe at the subscription level 1 I'm giving a permission to a user John as a storage account administrator. Okay. Now he will be having the permission of a storage account administrator at resource group 1, resource group 2, storage account DB and DB. Right? So it is a permission which has been inherited down the resource hierarchy. That is the advantage. So few services are inherited down the hierarchy, like we have the policies, like we have RBAC permissions, like we have the locks which are inherited, right? But certain services are not inherited in the parent to child inheritance, like tags, right? So we'll explore more and see more of the labs and understand this in detail. So let's go back to my Azure portal, and so now let's have a look here, hierarchy for governance. So as we will be creating resources, we will be exploring this option of hierarchy for governance. So any resource that we create, will see the inheritance from parent to child inheritance within the Azure portal. So Azure provides 4 level of management to establish proper governance. That is management group, subscription, resource group, and resources. So we discussed about subscription. Now let's understand resource group. See, resource groups is nothing but a logical container of your resources. So if you delete all of the individual resources, or you delete the entire resource group, in all the individual resources can be deleted at the same time. Also, there will be permission inheritance from parent to child, from the resource group to the resources. So what is resource group? You can have resources like a database or a storage account or a VM, another VM, one in East US, one in West US. So irrespective of the regions that the resources belong, you can host these resources together inside the same resource group. And you can build this flexible infrastructure, which we will be seeing in the Azure portal going ahead. We were discussing about management group. You can create up to 10,000 management groups in a single directory or a tenant, and you can create up to 6 levels of depth. So you can create this type of hierarchy up to 6 levels, and each management group and subscription can support only one parent. So you have to create that hierarchy and plan it and execute it within the Azure portal. By default, management group is not opted. If you want to manage multiple subscription together, for that you can leverage management group. We saw subscriptions. So subscriptions are the payment methods and the billing boundaries, right? So you know what services you have spinned up and for what you are billed for, right? So if you spin up these services, you pay using your dev test subscription. Maybe in the dev test you have $20 credits, so you pay from there, right? So you can have multiple subscriptions according to the eligibility. Some organizations sign a EA agreement, enterprise agreement with Microsoft, which gives you certain discounts on the specific subscriptions, or you can buy it from Microsoft partners, right? You can also procure free subscription, which is there for students. There is another one specifically for which you need a student ID card, that is for the students, that is known as student subscription. Free subscription is there for all. And you can go for pay as you go. That means you can attach your credit card or debit card. How much you pay, you how much you are charged, you pay for that much. And also a access level boundaries, because of the policies which are there at different levels that we apply. So what is Azure resource and resource group? So Azure resource is a basic building block. So in individual resource that you create, like VMs, virtual networks, databases, cognitive services, all of these are individual resources, and these are all placed inside a resource group. So resource group is nothing but a simple grouping of resources where you create the resources. You have the option that you can move the resource from one resource group to another. That move option is also there in the Azure portal. The move option, you can see it in the Azure portal. So that is for Azure hierarchies that we have, right? We will see and explore more concepts. So please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to get such interesting concepts from a Microsoft certified trainer. If you have any questions on any topic which you did not understand, I will answer you inside with your within the chat that you pasted. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day.